Mr. President, we need to address the issues in Libya. It is in the best interest of the United States to stop a potential massacre that would stain the conscience of the world.
I concur. I believe that we need to implement a no-fly zone over Libya in order to limit the power of Gaddafi's military forces.
Action is required immediately. I refuse to wait for the images of slaughter and mass graves before taking action.
Yes, I understand.
The U.S. has the responsibility and international backing to stop the looming genocide in Libya, but the U.S. does not wish to deploy ground units in Libya.
Yes, using ground troops would take it a step too far, but we should still help the rebel forces. However, the French people do not wish to enter a prolonged war such as the one in Iraq. The Arab Revolution belongs to the Arabs, but I propose a NATO airstrike on Gaddafi's forces, therefore limiting ground involvement.
We are faced with the prospect of violence on a horrific scale in Libya. We have a plea from the Libyan people to liberate their country. An end to the genocide must happen immediately.
Then we must comply with their demands and work with the NATO allies. My good friend, Prime Minister Cameron, agrees that it is important that the countries of Europe show political will, show ambition, and show unity in being clear that Colonel Gaddafi must go, that his regime is illegitimate, and what he is doing to his people is completely unacceptable.
Yes, working with our allies and partners so that they bear their share of the burden to see that the principles of justice and human dignity are upheld by all.
I will immediately authorize the French military to commence airstrikes against military targets in Libya.
Next week, I will meet with Libya's rebel envoys, as France took the diplomatic lead among the Western nations and recognized the provisional government seeking to overthrow Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. I will hold talks with the members of National Transitional Council when I travel to Egypt and Tunisia. If we want to see a stable, peace, hopefully someday democratic Libya, it is highly unlikely that can be accomplished if he stays in power as he is. The U.S. has authorized our NATO forces to orchestrate airstrikes on Gaddafi forces. Gaddafi is engaged in some sort of theater and game playing. We believe that he might also be looking for an exit strategy. Despite that Libya is not a vital national interest to the United States, the engagement of the Arabs, the Europeans, and the general humanitarian question was at stake. President Obama is also prepared to send humanitarian relief missions to the rebel-held eastern city of Benghazi to engage the opposition inside Libya.
We are live here in eastern Libya, where rebel forces have recently assumed control of the majority of this area. President Obama is under domestic pressure to limit U.S. involvement in Libya because of proposed budget cuts by the Republicans. And under the War Powers Act, President Obama is only allowed to keep forces in Libya for 60 days, which is approaching soon if Congress does not declare war. Congress has not yet enacted legislation authorizing any military actions. President Obama said that Muammar Gaddafi will inevitably leave power as NATO intensified its week-long bombings of government targets and said on Friday that it has sunk 8 Libyan warships. In an attempt to raise pressure on Tripoli, the European Union is considering tightening sanctions by blacklisting some Libyan ports to prevent exports of oil and imports of fuel. President Obama, as well as Secretary Clinton, has stressed on the humanitarian role that the U.S. plays in Libya. French President Sarkozy also talked with President Obama in a phone call regarding the need to install a democratic government when Gaddafi is removed. Loyalist forces are defecting from Gaddafi's control, and experts say Gaddafi's regime would be in trouble if his supporting troops keep defecting. Rebel forces have taken over the city of Misrata, with the Loyalists suffering a string of defeats in recent days and rebels gaining weapons and confidence. Colonel Gaddafi now appeared weaker than ever before. Experts say, however the revolution will play out, expect it to get uglier. We now go live to Misrata, where the rebel forces are seizing the very final post in the city. I'm trying out for comms this year with my guns.
I think Megan's actually a really good rebel.
You got caught on my watch. You sure? Wow.
Toby, you're an...
Okay, I don't even know what that is. So let's not
No.
No, you said don't...
Here's the one we crossed it.
And now we're up here.
Better on camera or like?
Yeah, that actually looks good.
Can you see?
Yes, I can see that.
I thought our president was a guy.
You know what?
He's also black.
I mean,
I've
you
heard
know,
that.
it's opposite day.
You see me?